We'll join him now to talk about all of this is Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. He has served as an Army officer in Iraq with the 101st Airborne. He's also served in Afghanistan. He serves on the Senate Armed Services Committee as well as the Committee on Intelligence. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Tony. It's good to be back on with you again.
I want to get into China because I know that's something that you care about a lot and have been focused on. But first, I want to address this issue of what's happening across America's power outages. What's the situation like in Arkansas?
Well, it's very cold, Tony, and there's a lot of snow on the ground, and there's some people without power. We've had some strain on our grid system, and obviously anytime you have ice with above-ground wires, you have a chance of damage to those. I just want to encourage all my fellow Arkansans to listen to the governors and the local government's officials to make sure that everyone stays safe and warm and protected in this time. So let's just say a prayer for everyone across Arkansas and across this entire country who's dealing with this extremely cold and dangerous weather.
Yeah, this is unique, record-setting. Not something we have a lot of, but we have seen more and more natural disasters, hurricanes, severe weather events, which I would include this in that category. But some are saying, because, for instance, in Texas, where there has been an over-dependence upon renewable energy, is this something that should prompt a reevaluation of the Biden administration's policies that they've already announced within the first days of cutting off the Keystone Pipeline, moving away from fossil fuels?
Yes, Tony, I think it should. Obviously, Texas depends a lot on wind energy. It's pretty windy out there in West Texas. But one of the challenges of certain forms of renewable energy, like wind energy or solar energy, is it only works when the wind is blowing or when the sun is shining. And in this case, when it's warm enough for those windmills to turn. So that's an important part of America's energy mix, don't get me wrong, but you have to have a certain amount of reliable baseload power that comes from coal or natural gas or nuclear power. And it's my understanding of what happened in Texas, again, many factors, but because under normal times they get so much of their energy now from wind power, when these windmills were frozen and couldn't operate, it caused a surge in those baseload sources that their energy generating plants and their grid couldn't handle. Now, you got to maintain a modern grid. You need to have your power plants winterized and prepared for stuff like this. That's really independent of the source of energy, but it's also the case that you have to have that reliable baseload power of coal and natural gas and nuclear power that is going to be suitable no matter what the conditions are outside.
Right. I am with you 100%. I think the renewable energy sources are good to pursue. They can complement the basic energy supply, but in a situation like this, where you have freezing, sub-zero temperatures in some places, and people with no power, this is a very, very dangerous situation.
Very, very dangerous. And in some ways, Tony, I mean, there's only so much that local officials can do for extreme weather. I mean, I don't think many people would expect, Galveston or Beaumont, Texas, to have a large fleet of snowplows, just like you wouldn't expect, a lot of northern European cities to have air conditioning in every home. And when they have a heat wave there, they have casualties too. But what we can do as a nation is to make sure that our energy sources are reliable and stable and affordable. And there's a role in that for renewable energy. And hopefully technology will continue to improve and it becomes even more reliable. But for the time being, it is still essential to have that stable base of power that comes primarily in our country from coal and natural gas and nuclear.
Absolutely. Well, just for the record, I'm sitting here in Louisiana, back home in Louisiana, looking at icicles hanging off my roof. I prefer the humidity in August over the icicles. We deal with hurricanes here, and we lose power, we occasionally lose water, but you're not at risk. The elements, you can get heat stroke. I mean, I get that. I've been out there and done that. But these types of weather events are extremely dangerous because you can't get supplies in and out, and people are without water. And so this is, as you said, something we should be praying about, but also evaluating our policies, not thinking this is a one-off, but we're seeing more and more of these extreme weather situations that have been hitting our country, partly just because of the growth of population and many other things. Which,
and I would also, in addition to the prayers, I encourage all of my fellow Crimsons listening tonight, everyone listening across the country, also go the extra mile to check on your neighbors, check on the elderly, people who might need power for medical devices, people who maybe are struggling to make ends meet and didn't prepare for the evening. Do what you can, whether it's taking them into your church or your home or helping them get connected to their local government to make sure that they are able to get through these next few nights.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. Churches that are opening their doors that have power as warming centers so people without power can come in. And so that's certainly an opportunity for pastors in these affected areas. If your churches have power, you certainly can open and invite those that do not have power to come in, and maybe the community will pitch in the church and give them a warm meal and a place to stay. Senator, I want to shift gears here now. The president last night holding his first town hall meeting, the issue of China came up. I'm not quite sure I understood what he was saying as he talked about China. But this is something you are particularly concerned about. We've talked about it many times, the threat that we have from China, both economic and from a military standpoint.
China is a very grave threat, Tony. I'll be releasing a major report tomorrow that we've worked on for 2 years in the Banking Committee about how to disentangle our economy from China so we can eliminate the points of leverage they have over our society, whether it's pharmaceuticals or basic medical equipment, as we saw last spring at the beginning of this pandemic, or their access to refined rare earth elements that are so essential for our economy today, or other points of leverage that they have over the United States. I was also troubled last night to hear what the president said about China's treatment of some of its religious and ethnic minorities. He seemed to say that they have different norms. Well, there are no norms when it comes to the fundamental equality of all mankind, whether you're American or Chinese or anyone else. You are born equal in the eyes of God, and there's no place for the kind of repression you see in China. In northwestern China in particular, the Chinese Communist Party, specifically under the direction of Xi Jinping for the last 7 years, has been engaged in a campaign of horrible genocide against a religious and ethnic minority of people called the Uyghurs. There are horrible reports. I'm not even going to say on a family radio program, Tony, what the British Broadcasting Corporation just revealed they do to women in northwest China. I would encourage your listeners, though, if you want to know the full depravity of their crimes, just to Google BBC and the Chinese Communist Party, and you'll probably get the results. It's terrible, and the United States needs to condemn it, and we need to lead the world in taking action against the Chinese Communist Party.
Senator, wouldn't history instruct us that if America looks the other way when these types of human rights violations take place, that it will only expand and others will take their cue that America doesn't care?
That's exactly what history teaches us, Tony. We're talking about millions of people inside of China, not just in northwest China, but Christians throughout eastern China that have tried to practice our religion in private churches, having their homes invaded. Democracy activists in Hong Kong have been persecuted terribly. And the United States has to lead the world in condemning these kind of practices. And it's not just a moral imperative, it's a strategic imperative. Ronald Reagan understood that nothing antagonized Soviet communists more than highlighting their oppression of minorities inside of Russia. The same is true of the Chinese Communist Party. If we shine a light on these barbaric, horrific practices and lead the world in condemning it, then it will put us in a stronger position.
And if the Biden administration doesn't act, the American people still have the power to act with their buying power by refusing to buy products made in China, oftentimes with that forced labor of the Uyghurs and others that you talked about.
Yeah, that's exactly right, even though it's a sad fact.
Yeah. Senator, we're out of time. Look forward to seeing your report that comes out tomorrow, and thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, and stay warm.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas.